Pranams to you, sir. And
Namaskar.
on behalf of Satsang Foundation Australia, we would like to welcome you to our Australia Q&A session.
Thank you.
And we're really very grateful to you for giving us this time slot for which we have been waiting for so long.
On behalf of the Satsang Foundation, we welcome you all. So at today's session, the questions that you have posted, we will lay those questions at the lotus feet of our revered Sriyam Guruji, and we will seek his guidance. We will try to accommodate as many questions as possible, and we are extremely grateful that the Guruji has allocated an hour of his very busy schedule to provide us the guidance. So I will now request Sri M. Guruji to please make his opening address to all of us. Over to you, Guruji.
Okay. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Go down to Babaji and Maheshwaranath Babaji, my Guru. We are here today. First of all, I apologize for not being able to do this earlier because of my schedule. As I grow older, the schedule becomes much more. What can I do about it? I cannot do anything. And Babaji is bonded laborer, so I'm working. So somehow, since I like you all, I said, let's do it at least today. So we have this, what I would like to call it a samvaad, a dialogue, rather than a speech or a talk or anything of that kind. And you would realize that so much so that I don't have time to shave. So somebody said this looks good. So okay. A samvad in the spiritual context is that it can't be a normal worldly thing. A samvad is usually meant for spiritual progress, to move forward spiritually. Why do we want to be spiritual? What is, and so on and so forth. And if so, how do we move forward? About this matter, we can have a samvad. Why I'm saying this is sometimes today people do not ask very many spiritual questions. I get many questions with, please, can I get a promotion? Or I haven't had a child for 6 years. Is there some way to do it? Well, one day I told somebody and I was misunderstood. I said, I'm too old for that, find somebody else. But you know what I mean. These are the kind of that come. So if one is very serious and one is wondering why one is turning to spiritual matters, and please, to be spiritual does not mean changing your robe or having any weird hairstyle. You can be normal. You can be like anybody else. Work, look after your families, do your work sincerely, as truthfully as you can in this world. Not so easy. And also pursue your spiritual career. There is no need of any special paraphernalia to do that. This is the teaching that Babaji has given. You and I, ordinary people, can be spiritual without adopting any kind of uniform. You see this? We are not trying to make all roses into lotuses or lotuses into roses. When a garden is beautiful, when there are all kinds of flowers, not one uniform kind of, that is not a garden, right? So this is what I'm trying to do, to make each one bloom in their own way, blossom in their own way, and move towards the spiritual. I'm sitting in front of you. I'm one of the examples, and maybe others, I'm sure, who lives in this world, does his work, has a family. People come to me and say, oh, it's all right for you to say so, but we have a family. How can we? I tell them, please, you are under some kind of an illusion. I also have a family. I had 2 kids. They went through teenage problems. They got married. Now they are settled. I'm still continuing with my wife. A wife is a very good thing for your ego, of course. And so here you are. So this is what I am trying to teach you. Huh? So please now, with the blessings of Sri Guru Babaji and the blessings of Maheshwarnath Babaji, my Guru, I am playing this role to try and help you as much as I can. I said ask spiritual questions, but we are human beings, so we may have other questions. It's okay. You can ask me, and I have the license to say, sorry, I cannot answer this question. That's there. Give me that freedom. That's all you need to do. Yes. So
Okay. All
we
right.
can start. Thank you very much. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Pranams, Guruji. Thanks for your kind address. I will start with the first question. So the question is, Guruji, Namaskar, Guruji. Please, people sometimes mention various pathways such as vihangam marga, like a bird flying to
So what is
pluck a
that? What
fruit.
marga?
Vihangam,
Ah.
marga.
Hmm.
Within brackets here said it's like a bird flying to pluck a fruit. Then there's piplika marga, the path of the ant. And the third is a matsya marga, which is the path of the fish. The question is, could you please guide us to any standard texts that elaborate on these concepts and explain their relevance to one's personal journey?
Right. I understand these. There are not only these three, there are other ways also of spiritual development and spiritual paths. If you want to go into details, in fact, the first one mentioned, which is about the bird that flits from flower to flower, a bird that flies free in the air. Hmm? Kabir Das has mentioned it by saying, उड़ जाएगा पंछी अकेला, उड़ जाएगा पंछी अकेला. So this alone flying up in the sky and looking down and seeing all that, this is one way. Now, if you want to elaborately study this and understand the different parts, since you have asked me the question, there is one text that you should read. This is the Dattatreya Samhita, the Avaduta Gita. It's also called Avaduta Gita. It's also called the Dattatreya Gita. If you go into that, you will study in detail why these paths are named after these creatures and how important it is. And then you will choose for yourself one or a combination of them. This is also possible. Sometimes you cannot always be flying high. You need to get down like the ant and move slowly. And then there is the bee that gathers pollen and turns it into honey for a rainy day. So all these methods are described. Please go into the Avaduta Gita, read it carefully, and then next time when you get back, we can discuss this matter more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Guruji. I really enjoy dhuni whenever I'm in India on Guru Purnima and Shivaratri. As a sadhak, when I'm not in India, how can I light a dhuni on festivals in Australia? Can you please explain the process?
The process is very simple. In fact, you don't have to light a dhuni only on a festival. You can have a small portable home cooked made of copper or some such small metallic plate which you can preferably square and light a small fire with dry firewood. When you light, there are many elaborate mantras, but you don't have to chant everything. In fact, a practice of like doing a small havan every day is a very nice practice. Like you can have the havan kund, you can put some dry fire into it, firewood, keep some samagris. That means like oud, you know what is oud? Incense, frankincense, and some herbs like dried roots and so on, and camphor, very important. So with these, there are many mantras, but you don't have to go into it. Start by Agniya Swaha. First start with Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha, then say Agniya Swaha few times, then keep on chanting the great mantra from the Gita, which shows that the whole process of Havan is part of your own spiritual growth, which is Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havi, Brahma Agno, Brahmana Hutam, Brahma Ivatena Gandhavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina, which means everything is Brahman. The lighter is a Brahman, the home kund is the Brahman, the fire is the Brahman, the offering is the Brahman, one who offers is a Brahman, one who performs, the Vajpayee is a Brahman. Everything is, even the act of performing a Havan is Brahman itself. With this understanding, if you light a Havan, it is very easy. First, practical side, look for a place where there is no hard wind blowing. Get really dry sticks so that you don't suffer in the process of lighting it up. First light camphor, then put incense, then start the rest. It is good to chant Gam Ganapataya Namaha before you begin anything, not only the home kund. Now in a larger way, you can do it also when you celebrate Shivaratri and so on. There are no specifications except that the Havan kund should be square. And it should not be very deep like a well. These are the only two specifications. And it should not be made by any animal parts which are dried and things like that. Bricks are good. I would suggest to get a small, nice Havan kund made of copper and do your Havans daily. It will be wonderful. In fact, they are available online today. Amazon sells even that. Try it out. So this hymn, which I chanted now, you can easily learn. It's a beautiful mantra. Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahma Agno, Brahma Nahutam, Brahma Ivatena Gandhavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. And Agniya Swaha, Gam Ganapataya Namaha, Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. In the end, Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Finished. Simple. Please do it.
Is it
Yes.
okay to do Bala mantra immediately after Kriya is finished, or some gap is required between Kriya and Bala mantra jap?
Bala mantra can be done with Kriya, without Kriya, before Kriya, or after Kriya. Bala mantra has no such restrictions, except that your body should be clean. I was about to say the mind should be clean. I was almost next to impossible. But at least try to do that. Clothes should be clean. Body should be clean. And when you chant I am clean so, especially when you're chanting loudly, meaning audibly, so that others, you don't have to put it on the loudspeaker, but audibly to yourself. Brush your teeth and keep your mouth clean. These are the only principles to be followed. With I'm clean so. And since you're on it, the center for I'm is the forehead, which is the seat of Saraswati. Learning, buddhi, jnana, intelligence, all this. Then, Kleem is the crown of the head, which is the center of Durga, the protector. While this is knowledge, this is protection and energy. Durga on the tiger with the sword, the whole concept. Then, Sau. When you come to this center, the Anahat, it is Sau. You can spell it in English as S-O-U, Sau. Okay. Now, Sau is the Bijakshara for Lakshmi. Now, Mahalakshmi, not just Kolhapur Mahalakshmi, Mahalakshmi is the deity of wealth, auspiciousness, growth, plenty, and so on. So it's not only spiritual, but also in the external world, since we live. For everyone, Lakshmi is important in some way or the other, unless you are a sannyasin. Well, today sannyasins also need some Lakshmi to run their ashram. What I mean to say is Lakshmi is important for everybody as the goddess of wealth, plenty, auspiciousness, and goodness. So I'm Kleem So. When you start chanting, it is good to touch your forehead and start. Keep your hands like thumb inside. Touch with your forefingers. I'm clean. So I'm clean. So I'm clean. So after some time, it will happen automatically. So that is what I wanted to tell you. Anytime you can chant. Anytime. Don't worry about whether before Kriya or after Kriya. Even if you are not a Kriyavan, you are not doing, still you can chant the Bala mantra. It is the gateway of entry to Sri Vidya. Don't ask me what is Sri Vidya Vijay, please.
I have been practicing Kriya Yoga for almost a year. Yet,
Almost 1 year.
a year, 1 year,
Okay.
Guruji. Yet, I have not been able to attain the inner stillness I seek. Could you kindly guide me on what might be missing in my practice and offer any blessings or advice to help me overcome the obstacles I am facing?
Not only Kriya, any spiritual practice, you need blessings from the root, the beginning, which means the Supreme Guru is none other than Parabrahman, right? And then the Supreme Guru is also Shiva. The Supreme Guru in the Bhagavad Gita is Sri Krishna himself. Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Sri Paramatmane Namaha. You see this? So that is the so now in Kriya, this Kriya as a practice, as a teaching, has come, the root, the source is Sri Guru Babaji, whom some people call Mahavatar Babaji. Doesn't matter. That is the root. So therefore, like any other practice, well, the Buddhists use a term which I like very much, root Guru. So for Kriya, the root Guru is Sri Guru Babaji. Now, when that is there, when that is so, first step in Kriya is to spend as much time as possible to get blessings from the root Guru. Now, for that, we have prescribed the Guru Mantra and how to chant the Guru Mantra, which is with the lotus in the heart and with Babaji's padukas on it. Om Hrim Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. So, my suggestion is while Kriya has to be practiced well, I agree, but it should not become a mechanical practice of just breathing in and breathing out. There should be some bhava, some bhakti, some. And the Guru Mantra, when you chant with complete humility and ask for help, not saying, I am practicing Kriya, so I'm going to. No. With humility, please help me to move forward. Give a lot of attention to that and then do your Kriya. You'll find how different it is when you practice your Kriya. Plus, you said 1 year, right? It took me 4.5 years of Kriya to attain some kind of stability. So, what are we talking about? Honestly. So, we have to persist. The spiritual seeker is one who persists. You may lose it after some time, come back. Again, it may go off, come back. Keep coming back until it becomes so enjoyable that you're not being able to live without it. Till that time, we need to put effort more and more. You would say that my effort, ask Babaji's help. Do the Guru Mantra more times. And when you do the Guru Mantra, also say, doesn't matter if you cry, say, please help me. I'm doing Kriya not to do Kriya, but to reach moksha. This we should keep. You can call it moksha or Bhagavad Darshan or whatever you want to call it, whichever way you want to call it. I'm doing it for that. Which is why when we teach Kriya, we tell people You can worship the Supreme Being in with form or without form, or with and without form at the same time. We have no such problem out here because it is up to the Supreme Being to decide whether the darshan should be with form or without. We cannot dictate this. Right? Even the greatest Advaita Vedantin like Shankara finally also wrote the Soundarya Lahari and the Bhaja Govindam. So we are nobody. Right? So, yes. So hopefully my blessings are there. Please don't worry about that.
Yeah. How to deal with disappointments in life and keep moving forward righteously at the same time without losing hope.
Without losing hope.
Yep.
Now, the first step would be not to lose hope, not the last. The first thing should be, no, you know, if you look at the lives of all people who have succeeded in anything, need not necessarily be spiritual, even other things. You probably are aware that Thomas Alva Edison invented the electric bulb after 99 unsuccessful attempts. If he had given up at the 20th attempt, today we will not have this bulb here. You switch on and you don't know how difficult, how much he might have tried, but you switch on is there. How? Because he persisted. So in spiritual acts as well as this worldly, don't get disappointed. All people have succeeded, even materially, have done so without being disappointed. You know, there are rich people today who are daily criticized in the parliament. Daily. Do they feel depressed because of that? No. They say, what is the next step to take? So you, so you should get that out of your mind. So all these things can happen, but if you have a goal and if you are moving forward, hold on to that. Ask God for help and keep doing. If you fall once, maybe you have fallen because you're not doing the right thing. Maybe. So there are lessons to be learned. Make that failure a stepping stone and move forward. It applies also equally to spiritual progress. Both. So I would say don't lose confidence. Keep at it. One day you will get it. This is my advice.
How can I align my actions with my spiritual values, especially in challenging situations?
Every human being who lives in this world and who is also spiritually inclined comes across challenging situations. Nobody is there who is free of that. So don't think you're an exception, please. Every human being has challenging situations. They sometimes challenge your spiritual progress. Sometimes, because of spiritual practices, it challenges your material growth because you don't want to tell a lie. There's a beautiful deal coming up. You just have to tell a lie and you'll get it. But you're a spiritual practitioner. You say, I cannot tell a lie. See the situation? So you have to decide, do I now move spiritually or can I keep it for some time, move materially? And then why I'm saying this is afterwards you will regret for it and say, oh, I should have told that one lie and I would have succeeded. I'm telling you a practical tip. So my suggestion is depending on the person, you have to decide whether I want to do this or I want to do that. If you do that, then don't feel guilty and all that. You say it's a mistake. I did it once. I will not repeat it again and move forward. That's one way. The other way is to say, okay, whatever happens, I am a spiritual person. I will not succumb to any other temptations. But then it's possible that you materially you might suffer a bit. See, there is nothing that is achieved or acquired without some sacrifice. The sacrifice could be this way, the sacrifice could be that way. So this is something which you have to decide. And if you decide, go ahead. All I am trying to say that unless the action is something terrible like murder or something like that, never regret for that. Say that in a A time of weakness. I did this, but I will not do it again and move forward. This is the best thing to do. In my life, I also live in this world. I don't live, I mean, Maranapalli is a lovely place. That's a different matter. I also live in this world. I have to meet hundreds of people. Sometimes a situation arises where I prefer, instead of telling a lie, to keep quiet. Is it so? Well, don't know, can't tell you. So, this is in the Bhagavad Gita, this is exactly what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, that in this life you have also to be intelligent and logical, and and sometimes you should plan what you're trying to do and stick to the plan. However, don't forget dharma. Do not do anything that will cause injury or unhappiness to others. Well, if you're becoming rich and your neighbor doesn't like you, that is a different matter. Jealousy has no cure. This world. Nobody has found a cure. I would say for jealousy and also for baldness. People spend a lot of money trying to grow hair. It never happens. So there we go. Yes. Next question, please.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. During and after practice of Kriya, the shwasa becomes calm to a point that breathing in and out feels like an unwanted task. In this state, where should one focus when we meditate at the end of the practice?
Very good progress. If at the end of the Kriya, you don't even feel wanting to do the Kriya, at the end of it, you have to do for some time. And you feel that now the breath has become so imperceptible and soft and quiet. I don't want to again do anything, but just keep quiet. This is the point when you should actually keep quiet. Don't do anything. Let the stillness settle down in you. If possible, fix your attention in the middle of the forehead or between the eyebrows. Even that, if you don't want to do, that's fine. But one thing you can do, keep mentally chanting the pranava, the om. Keep doing the omkar sadhana only, do nothing else and remain quiet. Allow the mind to settle down. You see, even after doing Kriya, ultimately what we are looking for is that state of quietness, stillness, samadhana. That samadhan is actually ananda. When there is everything is the dhi is completely relaxed. So if you come to that state while doing Kriya, try to stay in that state without disturbing it in any way. But next day when you start with your Kriya. Don't say today also I'm going to say, it may not happen.
Dear Guruji, pranams. You mentioned that Kriya should be beyond breathing techniques.
Kriya
There should be beyond breathing techniques.
beyond breathing techniques.
Yep.
Okay.
There should be some bhava or devotion. Aware that devotion cannot just come at command, how does one incorporate it in Kriya?
Let me tell you one. If you think that bhakti or bhava can be cultivated, it's not possible. Anything you cultivate is not original. It is your own cultivation, your creation. So now this is a difficult question because bhava or bhakti is a spontaneous feeling that arises in the heart. It's similar to, like you're walking on the street and you suddenly see a little child crying alone in the footpath. Nobody is around, he's just crying. Little sweet child. Now, can you cultivate that feeling? You cannot. You see the child, you want to take the child and say, hey, what happened? Or do, this cannot be cultivated because there are many people who would see that and just walk off. There are some who will not. Why? Because their mind has become mature and spiritual and soft. A spiritual mind is not hard like a rock. It's a sensitive mind. So you cannot cultivate. Okay. So is there no hope? Yes. Usually, this thing called bhava or bhakti happens when you are close to somebody who has experienced it before. Then it kindles. Some mantras have the capacity to kindle it too. Some of the Maha mantras chanted for some time brings about a certain tingling feeling in your heart when you understand, oh, there's something beyond ordinary thinking. The best is if you know or in close quarters with, but you have to have spiritual earnings, not otherwise. Then, like a magnet, you being an iron piece or I being an iron piece, automatically near the magnet turns into a magnet, even if it's temporary. Since we are living human beings, the mind grasps it. Not we are not iron filings. We are living. So the mind grasps it. Then the mind enjoys it. And once it enjoys it, then it's done. Till then, there is a problem. So, what I'm trying to say is while you are doing Kriya, full attention to Kriya and so on and so forth, have this feeling in your heart that what I'm looking for is not some kind of a mechanical thing, but something to do with my inner feelings, my heart. I'm not doing this Kriya just to improve my career or to advise people how to grow in their life pursuits. That is a different department altogether. It's not to do with Kriya or deep spiritual matters. Nowadays, there are so many on the email where you do this, then you can do your business better. You can. I'm not saying that is wrong or right, but I'm not involved in that. So bhakti and bhava, yes, are very necessary. Otherwise, kriya becomes a mechanical practice, just breathing in and out. Before I stop the answer to this question, I want to quote what the great Kabir Das, who was a weaver in Banaras, said about this. He said, Jadhad prem na sancharai, that heart where prem or affection is not there, so that jan is smashan, such a heart is like a cremation ground. There's nothing there. It's all burnt. Jaise khal luhar ki, like the bellows of a blacksmith. Nowadays, blacksmiths don't use bellows. In olden days, they used to have a hand-operated bellows. When they do that, the fire burns. Push, push. In India, you might have seen when you were young. Yeah? Jaise khal luhar ki, like the khal, the bellows of the blacksmith. Saans let bin pran. That is also breathing, the bellows. But it has no pran, no life in it. Lifeless. So therefore, this is something to be kept in mind. If any of your sadhana is making you a totally feelingless, heartless person, abandon it. That's not sadhana. It's something terrible.
Please describe more about dream state. I have been experiencing multiple dreams, dreams within a dream. How can we best utilize sleep time or dream state in more productive way to fast spiritual growth?
I think for spiritual progress, you should utilize your waking life, not your dream life. I'm not too concerned or involved with dreams. We do enough dreaming, daydreaming, and then we need to do also night dreaming. And I don't think, I'm not, there are some people who specialize in dreams. Maybe you should ask them. I think you should do this in your life, in the waking state, not in the dream state. This is also a lazy way of the mind to say, I won't do any sadhana, but let me use my dreams. No, you have to do it in the waking state. And if you do sadhana in the waking stage, in the dream state, you will have dreams which will take you towards your spiritual fulfillment. That's what I would like to say. And
Guru,
let me finish
yeah.
this quote. Sometimes people tell me, "Oh, sir, Guruji, you came in my dream. and you told me to break a coconut for Ganesh. And I always wonder, but I tell them, but I never came in your, I never went. I don't know anything. What are you talking about? So I discourage it, because we should learn to live life in the waking state, not go in the dream. Hmm? Okay.
How to manage the fear of losing all happiness and love one has, especially the fear of losing one's family.
One's family.
Family. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
One's family.
One's family. Yes, Guruji.
This one thing we have to understand in this life. Everybody is starved of love. Everyone wants love. Everybody wants to be loved. Some also want to give love. But most people, most of us want love. Otherwise, life is kind of useless and meaningless to live. Understand that. But we should also keep this in mind that there is no human being born on this earth who is not going to die. Show me one. Now, don't talk about Mahavatar Babaji. That is not a human body. It's a being. Okay? There's a lot of nonsense stuff written about he was born in Parangipete. It's all rubbish. Babaji is a spiritual being. He is not someone who was born of a human womb. Therefore, there is no death. All of us, most of us are born of human beings. Therefore, it is certain that we will die. There is no question about this. Today or tomorrow. I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture of life. I'm telling you the truth. This is the fact. And therefore, try to give love and get love as much as possible before life snuffs us out. And the fear of losing, anyway, we are going to lose. So love as much as you can so that even when somebody goes, they go with a full heart. Somebody at least loved me. And when I say love, I'm talking about all kinds of love, including the teenagers' hormonal love, including. Without love, life becomes terrible on this earth. The mother's love to the child, the father's love to the family, the wife's love to the husband, vice versa, and the love we have for animals. All these are important because they all show that we are not machines, mechanical beings. We are made of stuff which is pure love. In fact, uh, one of the definitions of the Supreme Being in Vedantic terms is Satchidananda, Satchitananda. Vyasa, in his Brahma Sutras, uses another term, Asti Bhadi Priya. Asti means that which is, Bhati is that which is self-effulgent and conscious, and Priya is love. So it's very difficult to understand that supreme reality starting with Asti and Bhadi. It's easier to understand starting from Priya, reverse, upside down, which is where the great bhakti movements have talked about love and affection and Priya. And I understand that it is very important. But that fear need not be there because love is not something that exists only when the body exists. The body is gone. It has to go inevitably. But love is an immaterial thing that is part of our soul, which never dies when the body dies. If you keep this concept in mind, not only will we learn to love in this life, even when we leave the body, inevitably we all have to go. We will go with that feeling of affection and love rather than fear and distress and anger. I think we should consciously try to change ourselves in this. Then there is no fear of death.
Guruve Namaha. In shloka 9 of the Soundarya Lahari, Shankaracharya mentions about the chakras. they are not mentioned in the sequence that we are taught. Why is it like that? Which is the right way? And is it okay to meditate on each chakra by chanting this shloka?
Yeah, you may chant the shloka and meditate in each chakra. I know what you're talking about. Because usually the sequence is Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Avishuddhi, Ajna, and Sahasrara. This is the usual in the Yoga Pradipika and so on, Chakra Nirupana. This is the sequence. But in the Soundarya Lahari, Shankara being a practitioner of Samaya Marga, which is a little different from the Vamachara practices, a little different from the left hand path. His meditation starts from the Manipura, which is the third center, going from the bottom up. But in general practice, we prefer to do it from the Muladhara and go up in that sequence. While this sequence is okay if you are a practitioner of Sri Vidya and you know what Bijaksharas to be put in which center and chanted accordingly. Then it is okay. So there is no harm if you chant it together in each center. There is no harm. In fact, it might be good to do that.
Can you please provide more guidance to navigate the churning and poison, especially the sticky, persistent poison? Is the best way to let go, trust, and surrender, or to consistently confront the samskaras?
These are two things that a sadhak faces. While one should fight and persist and not give up on the negative side of one's personality, on the other hand, to support that, you need to surrender to the higher being. Surrender to the higher being. Say that please flow through me and help me handle these affairs. I'm not going to get back or give up. I want to cut through this and move forward. But the grace has to come from the higher powers. So it should be a mind that asks for help but refuses to bow down and cut down one's efforts and move forward. Then your efforts will be gifted and helped by the energy that flows from the higher being. Otherwise, it is very difficult to fend for yourself without some support. Uh, it could be your teacher, but then you will become too dependent on the teacher, which is also not a very good idea. But if you say, I depend on God, on the Supreme Being, and ask for help to fend myself from the disasters that happen to me and I will not give up, that is the best way to follow. So it means surrender as well as hard work. Both have to go together, especially in spiritual life.
After being blessed with your grace this year in January, an affection to Devi came to my life. I'm doing Siddha Kunjika Stothram every day before Kriya. Is that okay? Is the question. Can I continue chanting it? Also, is it okay to do it before Kriya?
Yes, absolutely. No problem. You should continue to do it.
My deep pranams to Sri M. Guruji. How does one know life purpose and how to track progress in my spiritual path? Is the question.
Look, when you say how to track progress on my spiritual path, then you must have already discovered the purpose of life. Otherwise, why would one go into the spiritual field? You already know. The purpose of life is not merely to make money, which is okay in this world, or to build houses. All this is fine. But some people, among hundreds and thousands, suddenly decide this is not the purpose of life. There is a spiritual pursuit where I can find true happiness. So then they start moving towards it. Once they start moving towards it, they should adopt all methods possible that they don't fall off from that and continue to stick to that no matter what temptations and what troubles come to you. This is what I would advise you. But please don't think that because you become spiritual, you'll have problems. No, I have not seen this in my life. Everybody has problems, so some problems may come to you, but not because you are spiritual. All human beings have some problems. Okay, agreed. But if you are spiritual, you also get the energy and the what shall I call it, the perseverance to go through these problems and come out unscathed. This is very important to note. So therefore, the purpose of life is to find true happiness. Some people decide that true happiness is not found anywhere in this world, so I must become spiritual or move on the spiritual path or pursue the spiritual. Once you start pursuing the spiritual and you begin to feel happiness in the inner, then all the outer problems that happen to all of us will have no effect on you. You will sail through happily. You will sail through like a fish in waters which is very, very happily swimming. Hmm.
Pranam Guruji, does home Vaastu,
Home Vaastu.
Vaastu, yeah,
Ah,
impact the person and his family? And do you believe in it? Is the question he's
you are
asking you,
asking the
Guruji.
wrong person because I don't believe in Vastu. I think it's 100% bunkam. No house that I live in has ever had any Vastu. I am the Vastu. You're asking the wrong, I'm sorry, I'm asking the wrong question. But I think in the ancient times, this thing called Vastu came because the carpenters and the builders knew which way the wind was blowing, which direction the sun rose. So, what is good for your health and what is good for your home. And then also that you cannot have a kitchen, Agni Mula, in this direct. Why? Because you cannot build a kitchen near the toilet naturally. So, out of this, the whole science of Vastu came about. Now, like most other spiritual things, Vastu has also become a business. So, if you say bad luck, break that window, throw that door, it's complete nonsense. Please don't do all that. My advice from a spiritual point of view is trust God and live in your house. Don't worry about it. You asked the wrong person. There are two things I don't believe in. I think is 100% bunkam, at least today, as it is practiced today. One is astrology and the other is Vastu. People have spent tons of money on Vastu and still are miserable, suffering. Then that fellow will say, now you have to take that window and put it that side. Why? Because now the planet has turned in the other day. This is nonsense. Do spiritual people live like this? Spiritual people are brave people who trust in God and carry on with life.
Is full Kechari necessary to make progress?
No.
Shortest question, Guruji, today.
No. But let me explain for those who do not
Yeah.
know what is Kechari. The word Kechari comes from traveling in the clouds. Kechari, traveling in the sky. Physically, it's a technique by which your tongue is reversed and pressed in the soft palate behind your hard palate, especially when you're doing kumbhak or holding your breath. This is called Kechari Mudra. Now, this is done because the Kechari, the tongue end, the tip of the tongue, presses those nerves, nadis, which are not required, and closes them so that your Shushumna nadi alone functions properly. This is the use of Kechari, but it is not absolutely necessary that one should even do Kechari. I, do, I used to do Kechari, I don't do it anymore. Or that it should be perfect, which means that it should go into the upper nasal passages, not required. As long as you're able to apply pressure in the soft palate with the tip of your tongue, sufficient. And don't go into the hatha yogic practices of cutting the tongue underneath and pulling it. This is dangerous. Don't do any of those things. We don't advise people to do that. Turn your tongue, press the soft palate, and keep it there. Keep your mouth closed. More than sufficient.
I had the good fortune of getting Kriya from you last year in Melbourne for the first time. I have been trying to practice it the best I can. I do not feel anything or have any experiences. However, I trust in you and trust the process with my whole heart. The question is, how do we all make sure that we never deviate from the path? I do not know how many more lifetimes, but how do we all remain on the path life after life? And lastly, she asked Guruji, would you be looking over us some way or the other in those
Well, you got
lifetimes?
me in the last one. Um, you know, once you have taken initiation, either in Kriya or in a mantra or something, from a person like me, your responsibility, spiritual responsibility, is also mine, partly, to a great extent. So, therefore, we will not quit even if you quit. Hmm? We will make sure that you go, you progress. So 1 year is actually short time. Progress is dependent on various factors. Everybody doesn't progress in the same way, in the same speed, because we are all born with different karmas, with different lives, with different experiences. Some may appear to progress fast and then come back to square one. Some may not progress so fast, but slowly, gradually, they will keep moving. They will not fall back to square one. So I'm hoping that you are part of that. So don't worry about it. I told you before, took me about 1.5 years minimum before I realized something was happening to me. I did not, but I continued to practice. I persisted in practicing because I think that is because of the blessings of my Shurnath Baba. Now, don't worry. That kind of blessings is there with you. We are not going to let go of you for many lives till you reach there. I'm not saying I'm going to haunt you, but you know what I mean. So don't worry about that part. You continue to practice, and one day it will hit you, but persist and persist. And don't think it will take many lives. It may happen in the next 5 minutes after you leave here. You never know. Keep your mind open. Hmm? Don't worry.
Pranam Guruji. I would like to know why we have same things repeated in our lives like a cycle.
Like a
Different,
cycle.
like a cycle. Different situations, but same things. Is it necessary to know our past lives so that we can learn from our mistakes and not be caught up in this cycle that goes on and on?
The difficulty is, instead of doing your spiritual sadhana, if you sit down and try to look into your past lives, by the time you finish your past life, you will be dead, even one past life, even half a past life. So let's forget about that. When something happens to you and you behave in a certain way, in spite of trying not to do so, you assure yourself that this may be some leftover effect of your past life. That's all you need to know. And say, now I need to change it in this life. I will not allow this to happen again. So it is futile to try and find your past life. When you have attained spiritual progress, you automatically know some of your past life. I didn't also study past lives separately to find out what is past life. Then there is something called regression therapy, which is merely hypnosis. Now, in hypnosis, if I tell you that you are the Maharaja of Rajasthan in your last life, you will believe it because you are in a hypnotic trance. You know what hypnosis is? It makes you believe. So, I think There is no time. We should not spend our time trying to find. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Swami Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, where did they spend their life in their spiritual life trying to find out their past lives? No. Progress forward. Forget about the past lives. If something happens to you, try to change it and move forward. And when you reach a certain spiritual stage, you will know what your past lives are. At least one or two lives. That's my advice.
If one feels a V shape, so he's got the V shape, Guruji.
The what?
I'm not the V kind of shape. You know the V, like the letter V.
Yeah, yeah.
So he says, if one feels the V-shaped sensation starting at the point between the eyebrows at unexpected times, example, when we are half asleep on a bus or coming back from office, can it be considered progress in Kriya Yoga students' journey?
Yes. It need not necessarily be a V. It can also be a dot or a certain soothing sensation here or even a tightness of the forehead. These are all signs that you're moving in the right direction. Sometimes a blue light when you close your eyes, deep blue. Sometimes all these are signs, but don't get too caught up in the signs. We need to move forward. Now, having on the subject, I must say there are some people who do not experience any of these things, but instead experience calmness, quietness, bliss. That's also a sign. I think that sign is better than this. But there is no harm. It is wonderful that you're experiencing that feeling in your forehead at all times, even when you're not meditating. Nothing to fear.
Pranam. Pranams, Guruji. Uh, I got initiated last year by you, Guruji. While doing chakradharana, is it okay to focus on one chakra only? Hari Om.
Yes, go through all the chakras once. Afterwards, if one particular center appeals to you and you love it sitting there, keeping your attention there, don't hesitate, stay there. Allow it to happen. Be there for some time, enjoy. But before you finish your Kriya, once more go up and down and finish. I think after this question, after I am also hearing the strains of music of Gopala Krishna's Bansuri. So I think we need to stop it now. It's 4 o'clock. It's 1 hour since we started.
Yep.
I'm very sorry, but I need to ration my time in some way. I'm very, very sorry. And let me tell you that all the questions that were asked were relevant questions. Even if I did not think some little like Vaastu were not relevant to this topic, but still they were relevant to all people who live on this earth and carry on with their spiritual progress. So thank you very much. And I see a very disciplined crowd out there, Australia. I am thanking you again. May Babaji's blessings be on you. Please be free of all the obstacles that stand in your way in this life as well as spiritual life. And may God bless you. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Yes.
And thank you to special thanks to Sharat and Shri Anand Vardhan for bringing us together in a Samvaad. Thank you.
Now,
Om
Pranams,
Shanti
Guruji.
Shanti.
Pranam
Pranams,
Guruji.
Pranams, Guruji. On behalf of all the Satsangi in Australia, you gave us the opportunity to put the questions at your lotus feet, Guruji, and you have provided your guidance. So we are eternally grateful. So
Thank you.
Pranams, Guruji.
Narayana Hari.